Of all the fine restaurants in San Francisco, and there are many, this one stands out. It's a supper club called Old Skool Café.
It's amazing food. It's fantastic food.
It's not just good food that draws people like Pastor Tim Ritter, it's the staff. On average, 3 out of 4 of the kids who are the waiters and kitchen help have been locked up or in trouble with the law. 3 out of 4. Instead of serving time, now they're serving food.
I think it's the only way to pastor people, personally.
Francis Rubio, a one-time pastor, is now the executive chef at Old Skool.
I think it's a little bit scary for some of them to wake up and face the day. I think that it's a little bit scary for them to sometimes walk through our doors because they know that they're going to have to interact with people, and that for some of them, that is deathly scary.
And do you leave the skin on? Do you take the skin off?
There would be no Old Skool if not for Teresa Goins, a former corrections officer for the state of California.
The young people that were incarcerated that I worked with are the ones that God used to break my heart open to say, this is your calling.
She's amazing.
Susan Brown is with the Brown Institute on Politics and Public Service, named after her father, Willie Brown, the former mayor of San Francisco.
Anyone who can come from the juvenile system as a guard and see that that's not working and then figure out how to make something, create something that does work is amazing.
Teresa Goins' work as a guard changed her life in a significant way. What broke her heart was the young folks she worked with would show promise and improvement while they were incarcerated, but when released back to their old environment, they went back to their old ways.
Every night I would often come home from work in tears praying, God, please give me a solution. This is horrible. I can't imagine that now that I know how many kids feel like their life is meaningless and that they don't expect to live to see their 18th birthday, I can't walk away and not do something about it. So I kept praying, please give me a solution.
So with lots of prayers and some unrealistic hope, this non-denominational devout Christian quit her job, invested a small inheritance and savings in a tiny restaurant in her home, and employed at-risk kids, many with backgrounds like Elijah Martinez.
I can't remember any memories of my dad or my mom, actually. I was raised by my grandma. She was the one who took care of me ever since I was born.
But if Old Skool Café was to stay afloat or grow, she needed some deep pockets. So she set out fundraising.
I have no business background. I have no restaurant background other than having been a waitress for 4 months when I was 19. And on top of it, 9 out of 10 restaurants fail. And I'd like to take youth who've never worked before, coming out of jail, who have maybe some anger issues. I was told, by people I had asked for funding, it was the worst idea they had ever heard.
But she kept at it, and just when it looked like there was no hope, she found one investor and then another, and small contributions, and now the nonprofit Old Skool Café has its own building, albeit in one of the toughest neighborhoods in San Francisco.
That is what I love the most about Old Skool Café. It allows someone to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps and do it themselves and succeed.
Many of the kids attend high school when they're not at Old Skool. Some have other part-time jobs. Here they learn the ins and outs of the restaurant business. This is Jay.
Yeah, they taught us front of the house, back of the house service, how to cook, how to prep, how to serve, and we've learned a lot from the training. I think we all appreciate it a lot.
Nobody just drops into the Old Skool Café. It's not that kind of neighborhood. It's a tough neighborhood. People only come here with reservations. Inside, it's another world, a 1940s supper club reaching back to happier times.
Help us to have a good service tonight, and we're thankful that we could be thankful for things. Amen.
Amen.
It's not easy for the kids, aged 16 to 22, to get accepted here. Many are referred by probation officers and other juvenile agencies. After they're accepted, most stay in the program for about 2 years, some longer. They can expect months of training about how to get a job and keep it, and then at least an hour a day of discussions from a life coach.
I'm flexible. Change comes to me easily and effortlessly.
The rules, even after they've been accepted, are very strict. More than one absence can mean they're kicked out of the program.
Yeah, so I'm strict because because the world isn't, you know, they're not going to make it if we don't have a high bar for them and teach them how to push themselves and reach their full potential.
Jeremiah Rushing is one of Old Skool's graduates. You spent some time in jail, right?
Yeah, I started when I was 14.
He was into drugs, alcohol, grew up in foster care. When you look to the future, what did you see?
Prison, because majority of my friends were doing or getting into jail, and so I was like, that's just the way it is. There is no way out.
Now he's attending college and mentoring kids in a middle school. If the proof is in the pudding, the Old Skool Café, now in business for 4 years, has accomplished what Teresa Goins hoped it would.
So the national average is 76% of people who are released from jail or prison will return over and over again in their lifetime. And ours is, and compared to ours, it's 10% of youth that complete our program will return.
Jeremiah now has plans for the future, and they don't include returning to the streets.
I'm planning it out right now, so in about 5 years, I'm gonna be almost 29, 28. I wanna be in a loft apartment in law school with my backpack business.
Over 300 kids have graduated from Old Skool. Teresa Goins would like to see Old Skool cafes in cities across the country, but even this one is still struggling. She says she'll keep praying. For Religion and Ethics NewsWeekly, I'm Lucky Severson in San Francisco.